My dear, you seem cold. Let us go to your room. Sweetheart, I will not hurt you, I promise.
I know that, Malcolm.
Then why not? Are we not as good as betrothed? You do love me, don't you?
Of course I do.
But not quite enough, obviously.
No, Malcolm, that isn't true.
Then you agree.
You must give me more time.
How much more, my dear Flora? You must know that I have these impatient thoughts, and it is natural for you to have these scruples.
Scruples? Well, I'm glad somebody has some. Reluctant though I am to disturb this charmingly romantic scene, I believe there is some explaining to do.
Faithful, what are you doing here?
I believe I have already asked that question of you. Miss Chater, you've had enough for one evening. Go to your room and stay there until I send for you tomorrow. Perhaps now you will explain yourself?
Upon my soul, I do not believe I need to explain myself to you.
Oh, upon my soul, but you do, sir. Firstly, why, despite all your assurances to me, have you got yourself into such a state of debt that your creditors have found themselves obliged to apply to me again? Secondly, why does your betrothed feel herself so neglected by you that her mother has asked me whether the wedding is still to be or not? And lastly, why do I find now that you are involving yourself with your sister's governess, my sister's governess? Get it right!
Why should you have the right to dictate my actions? It's devilish unfair that you should have been made my trustee. Why, we aren't even related.
Most unfair, yes, I've often thought so. Your activities are a vast inconvenience to me. You ignore your estate, languishing in London spending money you do not possess.
I don't see that you have any right to criticise me. You spend and gamble, and Matthew can have anything he wants as far as you're concerned.
You will be silent! I spend no more than I can afford, and Matthew has never caused me 1/10 the trouble you have. Now, on to Miss Chater. Think carefully before answering. Have you made her any promises of any kind?
No, my lord, none.
Not of any kind?
Not at all. She was simply amusing herself, as I was.
Your behaviour has caused me much difficulty, not least because I shall now be obliged to find a replacement for Miss Chater. You are a very tiresome young man, Brenner, and you appear to lack any kind of sense or self-control. I have settled your gaming debts for the final time, and you will leave for your estate in the morning. You will also not attempt to communicate with Miss Chater again. Is that quite clear?
Yes, my lord.
Then I will bid you good night.
I expect from your reaction that you did not expect Malcolm Brenner to have gone.
I am not surprised, my lord, nor do I expect any different treatment myself, but I had hoped that you would allow us to leave together.
To set up house, no doubt. I expect he neglected to mention that he does not have a feather to fly with.
He did. I know he's not a wealthy man, my lord.
He would be, if only he would be more prudent. He told me that you were both amusing yourselves in this relationship. Tell me then, how do you suppose that he would manage to support you as his mistress, as well as provide for a wife as well? A wife? Did he omit to mention the fact that he is betrothed? Don't tell me that you really believe that an irresponsibly expensive man like Brenner would seriously look twice at a penniless governess? Obviously, he was having all the fun in this relationship and was playing you for a fool. Anybody with an ounce of common sense would have seen that straight away.
Clearly, I am uncommonly foolish, my lord.
I am not a fool, Miss Chater. I am fully aware that Malcolm is as guilty as you. I cannot tolerate such behaviour in this household. I have no other option than to dismiss you.
I'm very sorry, my lord.
So am I, Miss Chater. So am I.
Flora, my dear, there is no doubt at all that you have been very foolish, is there?
I'm very well aware that I've behaved very badly.
Foolish was the word I used, and I stick by that. The point is that you, an innocent young girl, were left unprotected and open to the advances of a practised seducer.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I keep my finger on the pulse, and I've heard a few things about Malcolm Brenner, none of them to his advantage. But you must have believed him to love you, to have let him take such liberties.
believed it to be so. I still feel tenderness towards him now, but I can't forget that when confronted by Lord Craythorne, he didn't stand up to him and he did not support me.
Well, I remember Lee to be a formidable man.
Yes, but a man who was truly in love would have braved his anger.
It must have been nice for you to have a young friend of your own age to talk to. You must miss my Jane terribly. I know I do. Oh, I can't wait to get to see her when we get to Venice. Oh, which will be soon now.
And whilst you tour Europe, I shall be forced to search for more employment. Although Lord Craythorne has been ever so kind, really. He wrote me a short note of recommendation and gave me more money than I was owed.
Generous indeed. But any employer will surely ask what has been left out and why. But I think a solution may be at hand. My friend, Mrs. Bridgeworth, who was to travel with me, well, she can now leave her sister. You shall travel with me instead as my companion.
Me?
Aye, it would be my delight if you would accompany me. You do want to travel, don't you?
Of course, but it seems so unfair to be dismissed for my own bad behaviour and then to be rewarded for it. Besides, you know, I'm no expert in European culture.
Oh, nonsense, nonsense. You will be coming because I need you. Aye, and Mr. Warren will be able to help us.
Mr. Warren?
Aye, the gentleman who is to travel with us. Well, he is, Lord Craythorne's secretary. Well, you must nae be alarmed when first you set eyes on him, because he looks a little like Lord Craythorne. They're distant cousins.
The captain's daughter, I suppose, could be called an English rose. What would you think if I proposed the box she gave?
Mr. Warren!
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Miss Chater. I presume you're expecting another man.
I was certainly not expecting you, sir.
What the devil are you doing here anyway?
That is none of your concern, my lord. I am no longer, thank God, answerable to you for my actions, and I may do as I please.
Aunt Letty, I have just seen Lord Craythorne up on deck. I'm hoping that his appearance here is some kind of terrible coincidence. Why would you want me to come here with you when you knew that we would be forced to meet?
Well, what can I say except apologise? I'm so sorry for deceiving you.
I'm sure you are, but that doesn't change the fact that this is going to be very embarrassing for both of us, because it's very clear that Lord Craythorne is just as surprised to see me as I was to see him.
Aye, but this may be a good opportunity for you to undo the bad impression he has of you. Anyway, we must go downstairs.
No, I will not go downstairs. Surely I can dine up here in the cabin.
Oh, indeed you may not. We must dine with the party.
I will not sit down and eat with somebody who thinks as badly of me as Lord Craythorne does.
Flora, I will explain to Lee how you come to be travelling with me. I will tell him that you are not aware of his presence, dear.
Very well, Aunt.
Come on.